Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Online Course Podcast, the place where course creators go to sell more of their online course. I'm super excited because this week we have a very special guest all the way from Los Angeles, California, over there in the USA. A little bit about this person. She's an expert when it comes to making your course better. So a few different ways we can talk about it, and she'll get into it. But a quick summary: with online courses booming, what this person does is help fill the need for error-free courses, essentially everything to do in the online course space, whether it's proofreading your online course, your launch emails, your slide deck, testing the links, watching the videos, making sure that you're understood. She's got a degree in English. She's got years of experience with online courses and digital marketing, so she knows a thing or two on the matter. So without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Ms. Monique Muro from Proof Mango. Monique, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for giving us your time. I was chatting to Monique before, and I was like, "Wow, you're in LA." There's if I was in LA, I'd be going to Hollywood or Beverly Hills, or trying to date some of the celebrities or something. But Monique's here, hanging out with us. So thank you very much for your time, Monique.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
All good. Now, Monique, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
I have actually, and it's two words and it's really simple, and it is never quit.
Mm.
I really like that because I feel like it gives me a long runway for anything that I want to do. It's not like, oh, let's just get this done. Let's get this launch done. It's like never quit. It means that no matter like what happens to you this launch or in this business, like if you never quit, you're eventually going to get to where you want to be. So never quit is the thing that I always tell myself, good or bad, rain or shine. That's my go-to.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of that one myself. I've got a slightly different tweak. My favorite quote is, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So whenever I do
Ooh.
something, if it wins, great. I'm happy because I won. If it didn't work, hey, totally cool. As long as I can look at that and be like, why didn't it work? Maybe I should have done this differently, or maybe I'll go this angle, or maybe I'll do that. So I love that there.
I
And then
love
I'm a
that.
huge fan of, do you know who Tony Robbins is? Is he
Oh,
popular?
yeah. Yeah,
Popular in
I
America too?
absolutely do. He
Yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes to Australia a couple times a year,
Oh,
and
that's
he's
awesome.
he's very big on. He's got this formula, on how to essentially achieve any goal you want, and it's essentially, hey, what's your goal? Great, you know what your goal is. Now, how are you going to get there? What's your plan? Great. Now, do something. Now, if that doesn't work, try another way. And if it doesn't work, try another way. And if it
Oh,
doesn't
I
work,
love
try
that.
another way. And he tells this story. It's so funny. He's like, most people are like, oh, I just can't do it. I've tried everything. And he's like, all right, well, what have you tried? And they'll mention like one or two things. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, so you've just mentioned one or two things and you've done the same thing over and over again. Like, hey, just change it around and try something else and try something else and try something else. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I
I
love
love
that you
that.
brought that up. But hey, Monique, I've obviously chatted to you. I think it was a week or so ago, so I know a little
Mm.
bit about what it is you do and why you do it. But for my listeners, I mean, I just told them you help them make their course better. Do you want to expand a little bit on that? Tell us a little bit about you. What do you do? How'd you get into it? Why do you do it? Give us the rundown there.
Yeah, so I'd love to. So I would say that my story really begins on the way back from Vegas, actually.
Oh, this just got a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, so my boyfriend and I were on our way back from Vegas, and we're on that stretch of road going back to LA where there's just really nothing around. And
I've
we were
seen that in
listening
that. Is that
to,
in The Hangover? Is that when he does that crash? Is
yeah,
that where it is?
yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. I think it's the 15. And we were just like listening to a true crime podcast, just like feeling really tired. And I got a message from one of my clients. So at the time, I was doing tech virtual assistants. And one of my clients had an online course. And I had been helping him with a lot of things, doing tech virtual assistants, opt-ins and just all kinds of stuff, proofreading. But he was like, hey, would you mind proofreading my course content? And I was like, oh my gosh, like this whole light bulb just went off. Like I was so tired in the car and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that sounds like the best task ever. Like I love online courses. I love proofreading. I love helping people. Like this sounds amazing, you know? So he gave me that task and I almost was like, I'll do it for free. You know, when you find that thing, you're just like, I love it so much. So he gave me the task and he gave me a good amount of time to work on it. It had a lot of course content. And I just couldn't help but be so excited when I was going through the course content. I just felt like this for me is what lights me up. This is like something I could do where like I'm in the zone and like all time just kind of stops and I'm just so excited to do it. So it was at that moment that I realized, you know, I think I want to kind of pursue this and see where it goes. So from that moment, I slowly let go of my virtual assistant clients that I had. And I was also working full time too. I have a background in online advertising. So I was reviewing like advertisements, like compliance and make sure they were good and all that stuff. And so I let go of all my virtual assistants clients to really just dive into what it would mean for me to be able to help people proofread their course content. And when I started doing that, I started having conversations with course creators and I was just trying to figure out like where that service could kind of fit in with them, right? And of course, like I got good feedback. Like people were kind of lukewarm about it. They were like, yeah, I mean, sure, people can't spell, so that works. But I wasn't really finding that people were like super excited about it. Like they were like, oh yeah, sure, you know, but I wasn't really seeing that that could be like the whole enchilada, like the whole need of course creators. So the more people that I talked to, I realized that they really just needed help feeling a little bit more confident with their course. They really just didn't feel like their course was all the way there, or if it was all the way there, they really weren't trying, like they couldn't understand how to get more students or, you know, market their course the right way. It just all came down to like, is my course really good enough? And I spoke to one course creator who was like, you know, that's great that you're helping with content, but like, it would be cool if you could just like give me feedback on my entire course and let me know how that goes too. And I was like, yeah, actually, that sounds like way more fun than just looking at the content. So, so it was at that moment when I really decided, you know, great that I have proofreading experience, great that I love online courses, but how else can I help online course creators? And that's kind of where I pivoted. And I was like, you know what? I really want to help them with other things too. I really want to help them make sure their students get a really solid experience. And that not only is the content, you know, error-free, but is the experience good in terms of do the links work? And, you know, are they feeling supported throughout? And so that's really kind of where I came to be this course quality girl.
Yes, love it. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, let's dive into the meat of it then. I love what you said there, Monique, how you were like, I help course creators give their students a really, really solid experience. So I think there's two ways we can go with this. Let me know which one would work better for you.
Sure.
Whether we say like, because you've probably looked at hundreds of courses, so many different courses, you know, there's obviously some common things that a lot of course creators are doing really bad. And there's obviously some common things that a lot of course creators are doing really good. And there's obviously a lot of things that are just like, hey, it's not bad, but if you just switch to this, it would be a whole new experience there and it would be way better. Which avenue would you prefer to go, Monique? Should we talk about common errors? Should we talk about things that really make a good experience, little 1%ers? What works best for you?
I think we could talk about a little bit of both because I don't want to say, oh, everyone's doing this wrong without actually saying, you know, here's what you could do to make it right.
Okay. You want to do a top 5 on each? Would that work? Give me 5 common errors and 5 really good things, and then we'll expand on each one as we go.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So I would say some top 5 things that course creators I feel maybe aren't doing so great that I'm seeing is, number one, they are teaching just fine, but they're not giving the how. They're not really showing how to do what it is they're teaching. A lot of times they will teach and then just kind of like give like a worksheet or something like that, you know, and they say, okay, well, good luck. You know, let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next module. And so to combat that, I guess I'll talk about the way that they can combat that is I really feel that there's an opportunity to teach them how to actually do what it is that you're teaching. So let's say, for example, you're teaching them how to list build. You can give them all the strategy in the world and you can say, now go fill out this worksheet or go reach out to everyone you know. But if you show them yourself actually reaching out to everyone that gives them so much more motivation to actually do the work. And they feel really like it's possible, like it's something that they can actually do. So I would say number one is that make sure you're showing exactly how to do the thing, because a lot of times, that part is just missing, and people need that motivation.
Okay,
so that's the first thing.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand that. So
Yeah.
let's say the how-to. So let's say you're teaching a course on how to list build. It's not just a matter of, hey, put a lead magnet together and then, let's say, okay, great, you've already got a lead magnet. That's great. Here's how to list how to build your list. Go on different Facebook groups and, make posts and interact with different people. And then here's how you do it on Instagram. Instead of just saying that, say, hey, here's a quick 2-minute video. Watch what I'm going to do live here. And it's actually a screenshot of you, replying to the comments or whatever it may be.
Yes. That's so helpful. It's like so easy, it's just like having the course creator actually do what you're teaching. I mean, and if you can do it, you might as well just film yourself doing it. And then they feel more confident to do it. Because a lot of times, for me at least, when I'm taking a course and I get like a worksheet and I'm like, okay, this is great, but I'm off by myself doing this worksheet. And if I get stuck, I just feel like there's kind of a disconnect and I don't really know where to go for help. So I feel like that's really a key thing.
Awesome. All right. Got it. Number two.
All right. Number two. So another thing that they can do, or that I'm seeing that is not so great, this is from a proofreader perspective, is not making sure that their content is, number one, error-free, minus the typos, but also just consistent, like with their capitalization, casing, things like that. When someone enters your course, they have a first impression of you. And especially if they're investing like $200-$300 into your course, right when they open your course, they have kind of like this expectation of how it's going to look. And believe it or not, typos and just inconsistent capitalization and casing is kind of a turn off, because people feel like they're expecting something that just looks a little bit more polished. So my tip for that is really just to make sure that things are consistent. And this is easy. You don't need to be a proofreader to do this. You can easily just be like, okay, if I'm going to write my titles this way, I'm going to structure them this way. Maybe every word is, the first word is capitalized. Let's just keep that consistent, because we don't want the learners to actually have any distractions while they're going through. And it seems like typos and consistency is kind of like minor, but I've talked to a lot of course creators and it is something that is a distraction. So I would say I do see a lot of inconsistencies with that. And the one thing you can do to combat it is just make sure things are consistent. Like I said, you don't need to be a proofreader, do it. Just make sure it's good.
Follow-up question there. So
yes,
that may
please.
be something I'm guilty of, right? And I just can't be bothered. I would much rather, pay someone to say, hey, here's all my stuff, go over and read it or do this sort of stuff here.
Yeah.
And I guess a few things there. A, is that something you do, or is yours, let me think of how to, the question I'm going to ask here is, for someone like me, what are some different options they can have? And one of the options can be hire you or do you, whatever, that may be cool. But let's give a few different ones, whether it's like, hey, you can get a friend to proofread it, or you can jump on Fiverr, or you can give someone access for free, or you can hire a proofreader, or you can use me who does everything. What sort of tips can you give someone like me who just can't think of anything worse and more boring than, doing that?
Yeah. So I think that if you have a virtual assistant, that's a good step. If you're just like, no, I can't do this, I'm just going to hire someone, Fiverr virtual assistant, that's always great. I also really like Grammarly, because you can easily just copy and paste it in there. It's not really that much work to copy and paste it, especially if you're just like creating it, like as you're creating your content. Grammarly is your best friend, because it's not the most perfect, but it really gets you there, like 80 to 90% of the way there, to where you're not making those crazy mistakes. Either that, like I said, VA, or of course I'm available for that. But also, Fiverr is a great option. I think those are some really good options if you want that.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'm down. Number 3.
Yeah. Number 3. So something that I really find interesting is that when you take like real courses in real life, when you're growing up, you always had, quizzes, you always had tests and you always had feedback from your teachers. I feel like online courses are missing that feedback element, because it's way too easy to create a course nowadays. I mean, it's hard, but it's very easy to just kind of put something together. But I feel like, how are you going to know if your students are actually learning unless you actually see the work that they're doing? And either you're giving them feedback or you have a community for them to actually get feedback in. So that's kind of, for me, another thing that I see is missing, just because it's so hard when, like I said, you feel kind of lonely when you're doing a course. You feel like you're doing it for yourself. But if you can't get feedback on what you're actually doing, it's so hard to know whether or not you're doing it right. Like, I'm reading this book right now, and it's like all about making your business more simple. And for me, it's kind of like a course because I do the exercises, but I'm not getting feedback on anything that I'm putting out there. Like, oh, let's create your one-liner in your business. Great, but if nobody looks at it, how do you know it's any good? So I really think providing that feedback for people is really helpful. And a way that they can do that is to have a community. Or if you have areas in your course where you want to, let's say, have students submit their work. I know that a lot of course platforms probably offer something where you can share Dropbox files or something like that. Just something where they can get some sort of like, can you just look at this really quick and make sure that I'm doing this or I'm on the right track? Because I feel like when you have that, you feel like, okay, I know what I have to do now. And you're a lot more motivated to actually get it done too. So.
Yes, love it. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll give a few 2 cents there or my take there. So let me think of the best way to explain this for me. Okay, cool. So let's say with my courses that I run with Fitness Education Online, now we need to have an assessment because it's registered with Fitness Australia, and students get CEC points or CEU points or PD points depending on what industry you're in. So we need to have something there. That's one of the requirements is, hey, at the end of your whoever does your course needs to do an assessment. Right. And then if they pass it, you need to give them a certificate. So, they can show it to their boss, or they can, use it when they re-register as proof that they've done the course. Right. So, we've always have to have them there, and there's different levels of it. And it depends, I guess, what the goal is there. Even at the bare minimum, just even a multiple choice is not bad. Better than nothing, It's being all right, cool, here are the outcomes. Let me at least give them a multiple choice test to make sure they've got it. And there's software out there these days. I use a software Class Marker so that it's all automated. So I can, put together an assessment. It can be multiple choice assessment. There's even other things, mix and match, and you can do short answer questions there as well. As long as they've got these words, it's correct, but that can get a bit tricky. But even just at a bare minimum, you can do true and false. You can do multiple choice. You can do, mix and match that thing there. It's all automated, really cool. So it's no extra work on the course creator. They can go and do it. And they also get an assessment, a certificate sent to them as well. So all that's quite handy there. But there's even, Teachable and Thinkific and Kajabi and Uzendler. They've all got some sort of quizzes and that on there. Now, I quite like the community thing as well. So I'm lucky in that I've got a big Facebook group. Or I'm not lucky. I guess I've worked hard at it, right? So I've got a Facebook group with about 12,000 members. So what I've done, and that's students and leads and that sort of thing as well, right? Everyone just part of my funnel. You go into the Facebook group, and then what I do in my courses is essentially, there's a few things. Firstly, there's a module right up the start. And what I say is, hey, make sure you join this Facebook group and make sure you participate. Because a Facebook group like this, really, you could probably find any answer to anything in this course anyway, if you just scroll through that Facebook group there. And also, I'm an expert on this topic, but there's people that have a different take on it than me. So if you post in the Facebook group, not only are you going to get my opinion, but you're also going to get other people's opinion as well. So make sure that you post there. But then I also go the other way, and I'm like, hey, make sure that you reply to other people's posts in there. If someone makes a post, make sure that you go in there and like it and you reply to the comment, because here's the thing, a community is only as valuable as the people in there. Right? I can have 12,000 people.
Absolutely.
But if you post and no one replies to your thing, then that's just a waste of your time, right? And it's got to be a give or take thing. It's like, if you want to get feedback when you post, hey, make sure you give it to other people, because that's what builds that community there. So I really nurture that thing there. And then I also really push it. If anyone asks me a question, emails me or whatever, I'm like, hey, can you post that in the Facebook group? because I've got a really, really good answer for that, but I want everybody to see it.
Yeah.
So that way it prompts just so many people posting and asking for feedback, prompts a lot of that. And then
Yeah.
in the course, I'll have specific action tasks, but most of those action tasks involve posting in the Facebook group anyway. So let's say,
Right.
for example, my bootcamp course, the first module is about, putting together a program that sells. It's not
Right.
just, here's $10, meet me at the park and run a boot camp, right? It's,
Right.
hey, here's
Right.
$50 a week. You get 5 sessions a week. You also get a
Mhm.
12-week home program. You also get some basic nutrition guidelines, some clean eating recipes, yada, yada, yada. Now,
Yeah.
that's what you learn in there. But at the end of that module, hey, your action task, put something like this together, but then post it in the Facebook group and ask for suggestions,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
find that's a good way to get some feedback there.
Yeah, and that allows you to really assess if people are learning in your own course,
Mm.
because how else are you going to know? I mean, and then you can just scroll through the Facebook and then see everything. I mean, that's really great. And then too, like how to tweak things, and maybe people are asking questions and they're coming across roadblocks and things like that. So that's great. And
Yes.
especially since your community is so helpful. I think that's great.
Yes. So love that point. So we're up to point number 4, Monique. What have you
All
got for us
right.
here?
I really I guess I'll start with the bad, I guess. All right. What I've noticed in a lot of courses is some of them are set it and forget it, So I noticed that a lot of courses or course creators rather, just aren't really showing up in the way that I feel would be really helpful. And I feel like when you have a course, it's great because you are having this kind of passive income, but there is some work. There is some work in showing up and being there for your students, especially in the beginning. Like if you have a big launch, and you only launch a couple times a year, you really want to be there for your students. And what I found really is helpful with this is having onboarding calls. I was talking to a course creator the other day that actually does this, where she will have for a limited amount of time, sort of like for these launches where they have a bunch of people come in the beginning, they have onboarding calls for new students. And I thought that was really great because in the beginning, everyone's really excited and they really just want to know, like they want to dive in and they want to get in and they want to get to work. And on these onboarding calls, they basically have them on Zoom and they ask them like, why did you sign up? What are you most excited about? What has stopped you from doing this, in the past, and answers any questions they have. I really like that idea because I don't really hear that very often. But I really encourage just showing up either once a month, either in the Facebook Live or something like that, giving them the option to see you and get their questions answered. And there are some people that might not have a lot of students that are asking questions. I still think you can show up and just have a live work session. Maybe if there's a module that you see people aren't getting past, even if it's just 5 people, like maybe have a live work session. Or if another student has had success, maybe go live and showcase their success, just as long as you're showing up in a way that makes them feel like you're there, even if they're not really into your course or they're not finishing it. I mean, just showing up, I feel like is really powerful for them because I feel like they buy you first, really before your course. So they're expecting you. Obviously, they're expecting their own transformation, but they bought you. So they want to see you. So I really feel like showing up is really important.
Yes, love that. And it can be as simple as many different ways you can do this, right? The two
Yeah.
that come to my head that I sort of do in my group there is, Facebook Lives. So once again, in that community group there, I don't do as much as I used to, but especially when starting off, I would even go live every day, especially in
Oh,
the boot, when I was running boot camp as well. The end of every session, I would just jump on my phone. Hey guys, here's the workout I did today. If you want to do it with your clients, and
yeah.
that it builds so much. And let me get how to put this. It almost like it adds more value to your course. Even if they don't do the course, they may join the Facebook group and see you and get tips that way and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
This course was worth it just to be in this Facebook group and get all these tips there.
Absolutely.
So I think that can be
Mm-hmm.
handy. Or it may even be a webinar. Even if it's not a
Yeah.
Q&A, you might say, hey, once a month, I run a webinar. Here's the link, register for this. And once again, you might learn something in that webinar. Wasn't
Yeah.
even you bought the course and you didn't even like the course that much, but you learn heaps out of the webinar. You're like, you know what?
Yeah.
The course was worth it because I went to this webinar and I learned all this sort of stuff here. And that's very
Yeah.
leveraged in it. And I think with a Facebook Live, I like to have a purpose. Hey, here's
Mm-hmm.
the goal. Here's what I'm going
Yeah.
across. 5-10 minutes. Here's what it is. If you've got any questions, comment them below. If it's more like a webinar, then you don't even need the questions. It might just be like, hey, I'm just going to run a webinar once a month. Here's the topic, something related. Great. There's Q&A at the end, but you can go on there and do it. Doesn't matter if there's one person, doesn't matter if there's two people, doesn't matter if there's no one. You can do the webinar anyway and get a recording and post it somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As long as you're showing up, I mean, they're going to be happy. So,
yes.
I think that's really great.
Agree.
Yeah.
Number 5, we're up to.
Number 5, I would say follow up. I feel like a lot of course creators, I mean, I've got so many courses. I am a course hoarder, and I don't think ever once have I had anyone from the team or anyone on the course creator side ever follow up with me on how I'm doing. And maybe that's too high of an expectation, but I do feel that students appreciate it because there's too many course graveyards out there. Like everyone's got at least 3, I would say. So I really think that you would do your students a service to really just follow up with them. Now, that does sound like a lot of work. So let me explain on how that would work, especially if you've got a ton of students. If you don't have too many students, I think you're pretty obsessed with your analytics and whether people are finishing them or not. And I think it's easy to kind of go in your dashboard and maybe once a week be like, you know what, I'm gonna write this canned email and just kind of send it out and be like, hey guys, is there anything that I can do to help? But if you've got a lot of students, there's a good chance that you're able to hire a virtual assistant that can kind of help you do that. And what I would suggest is maybe meeting with your virtual assistant, giving them, it could be from you or it could be from your team, hey, I don't know, like I use Amy Porterfield a lot. So Amy Porterfield team here, just checking up and seeing how you're doing. If you have a team that can kind of help you, or it can be from you, like I said, but just say, hey, I noticed that you stopped after module 3. Is there anything I can do to help you move forward or make progress? Is there any way that, I can help you over this hurdle? I know that this might be tough or whatever. It doesn't have to be that long, but something just short, succinct, really personal. I feel like people appreciate that a lot. I mean, even if, like I said, they're just too busy, maybe it has nothing to do with your course and they're just too busy. It's really just about the feeling of, wow, this person really cares. There's like this empathy on the other side that I feel really stands out with people. And this is the kind of stuff people share and talk about. Like, imagine if, one of your favorite course creators or course authors, you bought a course and 3 weeks, 3 months down the line, they're following up with you. Like, I would share that on social media. I'd be like, I just got, an email from this person, following up with me. Like, they seem to really care that I'm a person, that I'm not just a number, and they're really caring about my results. And I feel like that's just an easy thing to kind of do and just show that you really care, that people really appreciate that. I'm just not seeing. And I talked to other course creators who say that they do it, and I was like, oh, that's really awesome. But it would be great if a lot more just kind of participated in really making their students feel that support.
Yes. Okay. So I'll give my take there, and then we'll do a bit of a wrap, and then we'll change directions a little bit. Okay. So yeah, follow up 100%. So a couple, and we'll even just go even a simple way is it could even be something automated, right? And I know it would be better personalized, but let's start simple and then, get more in depth from there.
Yeah.
So even just automated, the simplest could be, hey, after 3 months or 1 month, whatever your duration you want, an email just goes out. And it could even be everyone. An email goes out, which is like, hey, you purchased a course a month ago. Just want to know, have you finished it? Yes or no? If you haven't, how far are you? And, what can I do to help?
Yeah. Engaging that conversation even is good, I think.
Yeah. Better than nothing anyway, right? And you could probably even get a bit more specific with that as well. And you maybe even, I don't do this, so I don't know for sure, but I'm sure there could be a way that you use your CRM and you can sort of say, hey, this email that goes out every 3 months or every month or whatever, after someone purchases, only do it if they haven't completed the assessment. Use Zapier or whatever it may be to link them up there. So that way it's more personal. Hey, name, I see that it's been a month and you haven't finished it. Is there anything I can do? So it's, you can go that angle there. Or it could be something where and this is a system I'm working on at the moment with my virtual assistant, is a combination of the onboarding as well. So, every day, anyone that purchases, so my virtual assistant will log on. Hey, it's 9 a.m. every day. Okay, who purchased yesterday? Great. Let me flick them over a WhatsApp message saying, hey, welcome. Can I just confirm you've got everything? Let me know if you need everything. Great. And then
That's
in a
great.
month's time, you go back. So say today, it's the 16th of July, we're recording this. Great. 16th of August, you go back to that same list. You look at that person. Have they completed it? If they have, let's get some feedback. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Monique, see you finished the course a month ago. Just wanted to check. What did you think? Out of 10, what did you like? If they
Right.
say, oh, it was 10, it was awesome. Great. Hey, here's my Facebook. Leave a review, post on social media. If they're like, oh, it wasn't bad, but this, great. Go and fix those mistakes that they said. So the next person doesn't get that bad one. If they haven't finished it, there'll be a mark there saying, just on a Google sheet. Okay, this person hasn't submitted the assessment. Let me follow up and see what they can do. So that's
Yeah.
another, virtual assistants, you're paying $5 an hour or something like that, even if you
Yeah.
hire them for an hour a week to do something like that, it's probably a pretty good value for money there. And even on value for money, that's probably something we can talk about here as well, where
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people want to charge big money for their courses, and they also want the passive income side, and that can be done. I'm not saying it can't, but
Right.
maybe if you're not making as many sales as you want, maybe it's because you're not doing some of this stuff here and getting the reviews there, because it may be
Yeah.
something where you could turn a $20 course to a $200 course by doing some of these things here. If you're like, all right, hey,
Yes.
I just want to sit back and do nothing and get all passive income, that you can do that. Don't get me wrong. I do that with some course up to $500, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing it and it's not selling, it may be like, all right, hey, maybe I need to drop the price to more of just a set and forget sort of price, or maybe I
Mm-hmm.
need to up the service so I get
Yes.
better things here. And then also I feel the more experienced you get, the more you can step away and outsource some of this, because you've just got more students, more social proof. Like let's use Amy Porterfield just as an example. Let's say even if she didn't follow up, you're probably going to buy her stuff anyway because it's Amy Porterfield. She's
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah,
But if it's
absolutely.
someone that's not Amy Porterfield and they're trying to charge Amy Porterfield prices, well, hold
Right.
on, you're probably going to have to do a lot more of this stuff here.
Yeah, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you care. Like, yeah, when
Mm,
I first heard of Amy Porterfield, sure, maybe I bought a course, but I wasn't sold on her. I liked it, but it's really just like how you make your students feel. Like there's
mm,
that quote, like people will always forget what you said, but they're not going to forget how you made them feel. And
mm,
when you do these things, I mean, they're going to feel a certain way and they're going to have this kind of affinity towards you. And now, like, especially with Amy Porterfield, like I want to buy anything that she has just because I know that she takes such good care of her students. Even if I don't need it, even if I don't finish it,
mm.
it's like she takes such good care of her people that it's just a no-brainer that that you're going to get good service and that she's charging a price that she's worth
Mm.
that's good for you too. So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely agree with that.
Love that. Awesome. All right, cool.
Mhm.
Wait, there's a couple questions I always like to finish up with, Monique.
Yeah.
Seeming this is a podcast for online course creators, and you'll probably know a thing or two about this topic. What's your course platform of choice? If we're
Ooh.
comparing, Teachable versus Kajabi versus New Zenla versus Thinkific versus any of the other million ones out there,
Yeah.
if you had to pick one.
So the funny thing about this is I always like to consider myself sort of course agnostic or
Mm,
course platform agnostic because
yep,
I'm more focused on just whether or not the course creator is actually helping their student.
yep.
But I am a big fan of Thinkific. I will say
Okay.
I really am. And the reason why is because I feel like they teach their course creators how to create really outstanding courses that get
Mm,
results. It's
mm,
not just, hey, come with us and make passive income and
mm,
everyone's got a course in them and yay. It's more like they go so in depth, even so far as to help you, figure out how to do the research, how to create the learning outcomes. I feel like they're more supportive in delivering something that's going to make an impact on someone's life
mm,
versus, hey, just everyone can create a course type of thing. That being said, I am a really big fan of Teachable. I'm a big fan
mm,
of Kajabi. I haven't experienced New Zenler yet, but I've heard some great things about it.
mm.
But like I said, it's also personal too. I met the Thinkific team, hung out with them in social media marketing world. They're just
I was
awesome.
there. Were you?
Yeah.
Did you go to their pre-convention thing that they
What
did
year? What year?
this year?
Okay, so I didn't go. I didn't go in 2000. I didn't go this year,
Okay.
and yeah. But I went the year before that.
Who was there? Was it
And
Hunter?
no, I was talking to Patty and Rob, and
Mm,
we kind of just it was like one of those after. course creator sessions, hang at like happy hours.
Yep,
And
yep.
we were like riding bicycles and like on this thing in San Diego. I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. And I actually ran into them my first year on the train on the way back to LA. Like there was this big train delay and I just happened to run into them there. And that was really cool too. So I feel like they're just so fun and helpful and supportive. And I just had really good experience with their brand, and their platform is awesome too. So what can I say?
Yes, love it. Yeah, I fiddled with it. I've never had a course on there actually, but yeah, I went to they ran a pre-convention this year at Social Media Marketing World. It was free. You could go like let's say a pre-convention. If you're listening to this, there's an event in San Diego every year called Social Media Marketing World. It's like a 2 or 3 or 4 day event. There's usually a pre-convention day with like a bit more detail. They went the day before. They just hired out a co-working space, said, hey, it's for online course creators. It was a half-day workshop, and yeah, it was really, really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I know. In the app for Social Media Marketing World, when you're there, you know, you can just meet up with so many people and have all the events. Like that's how I found out about all the Thinkific events, because they were just like, hey, we're going to be here for happy hour. Hey, we're going here next. Like, come have fun with us. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad they did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so next question. Now, you're obviously a mentor to plenty of people out there. This is a 2-part question. Okay. If you had to recommend a certain number of or any specific books, if you got a favorite book or 2 that either helped you on your career journey or could help some upcoming course creators. And then the follow-up to that is mentors. I know we've mentioned Amy Porterfield, so we'll give her a shout out. But if there's anyone else where you always buy their courses or you follow them on social media, or maybe you've hired them as a coach, what can you tell us there? Books and mentors.
Oh my gosh, my favorite subjects. I would say the number 1 book that really made me feel like, wow, all course creators should read this was called Beyond Satisfaction by Brienne Dick. And that was really good because it was the first book that I read that really talked about getting students results and less about, hey, I have a course, and more just about like, instead of thinking, oh, what can I teach? She was like, you know, what do people want to learn from you? Versus like, oh, let me just think about what I'm passionate about or something like that, you know? And I just feel like she takes a deeper look at course creation than I've seen. And I really, really like that. It's called Beyond Satisfaction.
I'm Amazoning it right now before I forget.
I really liked it. I read it a few times. And then another book that I am about a quarter of the way through that I really like is Expert Secrets. I have never read, I've never read any of Russell Brunson's books. I have .com Secrets, never read it though. So I was talking to a course creator who was like, you need to read Expert Secrets. That's like the number 1. And I'm like, you know what? I'm reading it and I'm really enjoying it. So.
Yes. Well, I'm just on Amazon now. Is there a free Kindle version? For I think because I'm a Prime, I can get
on Kindle Unlimited. It is free. That's how I got it. Or if you have Kindle Unlimited, I think it's like $9.99 a month. But yeah, you can get it free if you have that.
Yeah, in Australia, because I'm a huge reader myself, so I'm going to download that for free as soon as I get out of this podcast. And yes, Expert Secrets, I would say in terms of a marketing side of things, that's the best book I've ever. It's Russell Brunson. If you haven't read it, it's the owner of ClickFunnels. So yes, I think that. It's almost like a course. Like I feel like I've spent $5,000 on a course and not got info that good, you know? So, and then his follow-up. Have you read Traffic Secrets?
I have not. I didn't know. I had heard that he had a new book. I didn't know about that one.
Just as good. 1 and 2, 1 and 1. I feel if you did nothing else in the internet marketing space, but just read Expert Secrets and Traffic Secrets, I feel you could run a successful online business. Just reading those 2 books. And I didn't like .com Secrets. You know, I read .com's. Yeah, I'm like, this is boring. I wasn't even going to buy Expert Secrets because I'm like, this first one was rubbish. But then I ran out of ideas on my book list. So I was like, I'll buy this Expert Secret thing. And it was the best ever.
Oh, I am loving it so far. So that's one I would recommend then.
Okay. Mentors. We've mentioned Amy Porterfield. Anyone else you look up to, whether you've worked with them directly, whether you've bought a course, or whether it's just someone you follow up on social media?
Yeah. I would say Brian Harris is one of my favorites. He runs Growth Tools, or Growth University. He used to be the owner of Video Fruit. I don't know if you ever heard of Video Fruit, but he's really big on helping course creators succeed. So big. He's got a coaching program that's a year-long coaching program, which I am in. It's called Growth University. And he also has monthly accelerator programs. So there's one that I enrolled in called Conversion Accelerator. So it's like $500 a month of just like working with a small team, just doubling your leads basically on your site.
I'm learning so much from this. I'm buying books. I'm joining Facebook groups. What's this guy's name so I can connect with him?
Brian Harris. I believe it's Bryan and then
okay.
Harris. Growth University is his program. Growthtools.com, I believe, is his website. He's got a lot of tools for entrepreneurs. You would love him. A lot of really easy tools to just implement, like really good. I really like him. Oh, go ahead.
Where do we follow you? Is it Instagram, Facebook? Where's the best place? If we can check him out for free first before we invest.
Oh yeah, I would say growthtools.com.
Okay.
I believe is his site.
Because I Facebooked it and I've got the drummer from the Vagabonds.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
A few Brian Harrises around there.
He's not actually that big on social. He has an Instagram that he doesn't really go on.
Okay.
Facebook, I haven't really checked him out there, but growthtools.com and subscribe to his email list. Like,
okay.
I think I found him in an ad, like an Instagram ad or something like that. He's really good because he gets people results, like insane. His accelerators, like I doubled my leads after taking it. Like every week he's like, here, this is what you have to do. You meet 3 times a week, like on Zoom, and he teaches you and then you go do it. And then they give you feedback. Just what I was saying. It works. It really gets you where you want to be. He has another one on partnerships, like creating partnerships with people. And I think he just came out with a webinar one too, Webinar Accelerator. So he's doing a lot of cool things. And he's one of the people that really just kept me focused this year and just made me feel like I had support. And I think he's done a lot for course creators. He's really one to check out for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check him out. Now about you, Monique, if anyone's listening to this and they're like, you know what, I want to hire Monique's services, or let's start with that. Someone wants to hire you. Where do they go?
Proofmango.com. If you go to proofmango.com, right in the header, there is an opt-in. You can get a course quality checklist that goes over a lot of the things that I mentioned here. If you just want to give your course like a quick polish, freshen it up a little bit, there's a freebie right at the top of the page if you go to proofmango.com.
Awesome. I'll put that in the show notes. If they're not ready for your services yet, but they want to follow you or keep an eye on you and social media in case sometime they do want to use your services, what's the best? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
I'm on Instagram pretty much every hour. So Instagram at Proofmango. And I'm also on Facebook. So facebook.com/Proofmango. And I occasionally go on Twitter. I'm at Proofmango there as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, Monique, that's pretty much all I wanted to get through today. Is there anything I forgot to ask, or is there anything I should have asked you but didn't? Or is there anything you want to finish this off with?
I would just say, really, your student success is what's going to get you long-term results. There's a lot of things you can do to get short-term results, but if you really focus on your student success, you'll see the longer-term success that you're really looking for.
Love that. No, I'll give my 2 cents on that as well. I feel like anyone can sell something crap once, right? It's not that hard. You can learn a few sales tips, make a few posts on social media. Some idiot will buy it, right? But if that's not good, it's not going to be consistent results, because and there's a few different ways around that. Say someone buys it and it's not good, you're not going to get a testimonial from that person, so you're not going to be able to use that from your marketing. They're not going to refer you to anyone. You're not going to get referrals, and even just a confidence thing as well. Like if you're selling someone something and they're not getting results, it's going to be harder for you to sell. Not even like a testimonial side of things. It's just you're not going to believe in it as much as if you had 100 people that are like, this is the best course I've ever done. These are the best results I've ever gotten. Make sure you go and do it. Your confidence will be through the roof, because you'll even have that attitude where it's like, you know what? This is amazing. If you do it, it's going to change your life. Whether you do it, doesn't bother me or not. I'm making sales either way, right? But if you want to change your life, this is what you got. That's a such more powerful sell than you trying to convince someone to try and buy it, right? So I think that's important there in terms of testimonials, referrals, common sense, but even just belief for yourself. If you're getting these people results, you're going to believe it so much more, and that side of things there. And there was
Yes.
something else I
Yes.
was going to say. Yeah, and even in results as well. So I'm a big results person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you might have a course and it may look good, it might be professional quality videos and
Right.
professional quality audio, but if it doesn't do the transformation that it said it was going to do, and your student doesn't get the result, it's almost a waste. Like, no one's going to be like, yeah, do this course. You're going to watch high quality videos and listen to high quality audio. Like, if you don't get that transformational result, it doesn't really matter. So that's a
Yes.
very important. And then the other bit's the icing on cake. It's like, great, hey, here's the transformation that I can give you. I can give this transformation, and now let's make it as good as possible. Let's proofread it, no mistakes, audio good, video good, all that sort of stuff there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Start with that transformation. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, hey, Monique, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
What are you're going to go and head off and go to Beverly Hills now or Hollywood? What's the...
Well, if we weren't in the time of COVID, then I just might take a ride somewhere. But for now, we're stuck at home for a bit, which is fine. I'm grateful to be where I am.